Most people believe emotional maturity is something you either have or you don't. They assume that it comes with age or life experience or having good parents. But emotional maturity isn't automatic and it's not guaranteed. In fact, so many adults never develop it at all because emotional maturity isn't something you inherit. It's actually something you build. Today, I want to explain how emotional maturity is actually developed, why so many people miss the process entirely, and what changes occur when it finally begins to develop. Now, to understand how emotional maturity develops, we have to let go of a few myths. So let's start there. Emotional maturity is not being calm all the time. It's not always being agreeable. And it's not avoiding conflict or being the bigger person. Emotional maturity is the capacity to stay self-aware, regulated, and accountable while in a relationship, but most specifically during stressful situations. And the capacity to do this develops through 5 basic processes that we are going to cover today. Process number 1. Emotional awareness. The first step in emotional maturity is awareness. You cannot mature emotionally if you don't know what you're feeling, when you're activated, or why you're reacting in the first place. Many people skip this step entirely. They feel something and immediately act or respond or defend or shut down and never ever even seek to understand why. Emotionally mature people pause long enough to say, this feeling is happening inside of me. This is critical because the pause is the beginning of choice. Without any awareness, there is no space to regulate, which then compromises our ability to choose a proper response. So what you end up with is a reaction. Process number 2, nervous system regulation. Emotional maturity develops when the nervous system learns safety. I cannot emphasize how critical this is. When your body perceives threat, communication, empathy, and reflection go completely offline. So emotional maturity requires that we learn how to self-soothe, that we learn how to slow down our reactivity, and that we stay present even when things are uncomfortable. This is exactly why insight alone can't change people. Your nervous system has to learn that connection is safe, even during a conflict. And until then, emotional maturity cannot stabilize. Process number 3, internal responsibility. The third step is taking responsibility for your inner world. This is where a lot of people get stuck. Emotionally immature people believe, I feel bad and someone else caused it. Emotionally mature people, on the other hand, understand that my feelings are real. They're also mine to understand and respond to. That doesn't mean that we ignore the impact of our feelings. It just means that we separate emotion from blaming other people. And this shift alone will transform your communication because responsibility creates clarity. Blaming other people for our feelings creates defensiveness. Process number 4, tolerance for discomfort. We kind of touched on this already, but emotional maturity grows through discomfort tolerance. Growth happens when you can stay present during hard conversations, when you can hear feedback without withdrawing or attacking other people, when you can sit with the emotions of shame, of fear, or sadness without resorting to avoidance. Most people avoid the discomfort, Emotionally mature people learn to stay, not perfectly, and Lord, we know, not always calmly, but they stay consciously. Discomfort is not the enemy of emotional maturity. Avoidance is. Process number 5, repair and integration. The last process of emotional maturity is built through repair. No one communicates perfectly. No one regulates perfectly. No matter what happens, relationships are bound to experience some kind of rupture. But emotionally mature people reflect, they take accountability, they seek understanding, and they repair. And over time, those repairs integrate into trust, into safety, and emotional resilience. This is exactly how emotional maturity compounds, because each moment of awareness, of regulation, of responsibility and repair doesn't stand alone. It builds on the one before. So every time that you pause instead of react, every time you take responsibility instead of blaming, or repair instead of withdrawing, your nervous system learns safety. And self-trust strengthens, and your relationships become more resilient. And the truth is that over time, these small moments stack on one another. And that is exactly how emotional maturity grows. It's not one miraculous breakthrough. It happens through consistent lived practice. Emotional maturity isn't a personality trait. It is a capacity that develops through awareness and regulation, responsibility, discomfort tolerance, and repair. And when emotional maturity develops, communication is no longer something to be forced. It becomes clearer naturally, calmer naturally, honest naturally, and safer. Now, if after watching this video, you're realizing that no one ever taught you these skills, I want you to remember this, that you are not broken, you are not flawed, you simply were never shown the process. And the truth is that emotional maturity was never modeled for most of us. Not in our families, not in our schools, and not in most relationships. But the good news is that emotional maturity isn't reserved for just this lucky few. It's not dependent on how old you are or how intelligent you are or if you had the perfect upbringing. It is a capacity that is developed over time through practice. And when this capacity grows, your relationships will fundamentally change. You don't just communicate differently, you start to relate differently. You respond instead of react. You take ownership instead of assigning blame. And relationships begin to feel clear and safe and grounded. And let's just be honest, who doesn't want that? This is the work that lights me up, not communication techniques or scripts, but the internal processes that make healthy communication possible. If you're curious about learning to develop these capacities in a structured, supported way, check out my website, michellemendoza.com. Michelle is with one L. And no matter how you continue this work, I want you to remember this, that every relationship begins with the one you have with yourself.